And we're back on another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy, where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. Today we are focused on Star Trek, the original series, and we're going to be talking about Charlie X, and I'm joined by Fathery. Oops, I removed Fathery by accident. I can't control these things. Anyways, Fathery, the Doctor. Oh, Emma and Humbert. You guys changed your names. There's some kind of staticky, weird burping sound. Do you guys hear that?
Yeah, I hear it.
That must be the Doctor and Emma as they've just come back from lunch, no doubt. Or I wanted to. Here, I'm gonna do this face so that you know how upset I am about that weird sound, and I'm gonna mute you guys in the meantime while you guys figure that out. So I can't do it. I can't do the Charlie face. Can anyone do it?
I'm gonna try to do it.
Hold on. All right, go.
Wait, I can't. I'm laughing now. I can't do it. Like, I gotta be serious.
Oh my god, that's actually really good. That's the best one. All right, let's see if there's still stat. Ooh, you're back. There's no more There's no more weird. Yeah, we can hear. We don't hear that. We don't hear the burping.
Sounds great. Sounds great now.
Try to put this in your ear.
Oh
my god. We're so professional, right?
Try to put this in your ear. Welcome back, guys. Don't worry. We only have one person in the audience, so whoever you are, hello, but it's okay. They're here to talk about Charlie X. So, I think who did the summary last time? Was it Humbert or was it you, Fathery? I think
I did the one 2 episodes ago.
2 episodes ago. So I think I'll do the summary for this one, if that's okay. All right, here we go. All right, so the crew of the Enterprise encounter a ship, a freighter or something like that, and one of their requests is to hand off this young man to be sent to the nearest starbase, which I can't remember what number starbase it was anymore, or colony. Sorry,
Colony 5.
Nearest Colony 5. Thank you. To the nearest colony, Colony 5, and so they encounter him, and immediately he's just kind of like odd and weird and kind of interrupts the adults and has to be like he has to be told what its place is or whatever, but he kind of is, as any kind of teenager would be, like a mixed bag of emotions and angst and things like that. But as we progress, he starts to realize that he starts to exhibit that he has godlike powers to basically do anything. I mean, he can erase people from existence. He can remove the features of your face. He can force you to, I don't know, like do things that you don't want to. It's just like he's just got like all these crazy Q powers basically. And so the only thing keeping him in check is that he has this kind of like fear/respect for Captain Kirk. So Captain Kirk has to like play on this throughout the whole episode. And be both friend, brother, and father to Charlie, and so anyways, Charlie keeps asserting his dominance over and over, and finally, just before it's about to come to a head, and he's taken over the ship. He's like, he's like acting like the like basically a dictator. He's like, basically like Donald Trump. And then he, sorry, I had to. Anyways, at the last minute, his adopted godfather pops in, and or fairy
godfather,
like a godfather, right? Pops in and is able to basically take Charlie back into this other realm, or take him into this other realm, and so that he's no longer corporeal and he can no longer harm humans. And I forgot to mention that Captain Kirk and crew come up with a clever way to basically subdue Charlie, which is to like turn everything on the Enterprise, and that's what gives them the time they need before the Godfather arrives. And so everyone's kind of sad to see Charlie leave, but I'm sure they're also very relieved that they don't have to deal with that spoiled brat of a demigod any longer. And that's it. That's my summary.
Yay.
Oh, I got a clap. That was good. All right,
Bravo.
so shout bravo. Hey, Continuum Track is here. Hello, my track brethren. Hello, Continuum Track. By the way, at 6 p.m. Eastern tonight, actually 5:55 according to the invite I got. But at 6 p.m. Eastern time tonight, Trek on the Tube, myself will be on Continuum Trek's channel, doing a show called A Question of Trek. I hope I got that right. I'm such a terrible person. But anyways, I'm a team captain. Trek on the Tube is the team captain, and we're supposed to be, helping our team to win, to see who knows more about Star Trek. And I think I'm gonna win, because I'm just gonna say I think I know more than Trek on the Tube, but I'm not sure. He might surprise me. So if you want to go see how it actually turns out, come and see.
It's like a game show.
It's like a game show, exactly, and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
That sounds awesome.
It's like a quiz show. It's like do you remember Quiz Show, like the movie Quiz Show? By the way, I think it has that kind of vibe. I'm not too sure, but but I'm excited, and so yeah, come and check that out on Continuum Trek's channel this evening. All right, so let's get down to brass tacks, guys. What'd you think of this episode?
I hate it.
Yeah, it sucks.
Oh no. Say it ain't
I've
so.
never liked the episode. Even when I was a kid, I hated it. I always ran away from it. This is maybe the first time I've seen it as an adult all the way through. Because when I was a kid growing up, like when it would come up on reruns, I'd be like, oh, this stupid episode. I never liked it. I hate Charlie.
Well, I think you're meant to, right? Like, you're meant to not like him, so that's good. At least I think the episode did that correctly. I don't love this episode. It's not going to get a 10, I'll just tell you that right now. But I wouldn't go so far as to say I hate it. But I'm curious, what do you, like, could you distill or, like, kind of, could you, like, localize what you hate the most about it or why you hate this episode?
I think the way the cast interacts with Charlie Evans is really awkwardly written, and if comparing it to, say, Where No Man Has Gone Before, it's a really similar storyline. It's a similar premise. You have this character gifted with godlike powers in Gary Mitchell.
What's all this like? I didn't remember that it was so easy to get godlike powers in the past. Like it seems like it's.
Yeah, I know, right? It's just like, hey, I feel that story did a much better job of, number one, explaining how he got the powers. I think the crew reacted to the person with they reacted to Gary Mitchell, I think, in a much more intelligent way. This episode actually, I feel, does a 180. I mean, they were reacting right away to see how they can contain and kind of maroon Gary Mitchell and get rid of him. But in this episode, I mean, for a while, they're still taking him to Colony 5. And I don't know, they even at the end, they're very, like you said, they kind of, it looks like they almost feel sorry for him and a little sad, which, I mean, maybe a little bit, but really, this guy killed a whole ship. I mean,
well, it was all undone. The Godfather waved his magic.
No, he only the Enterprise, not the previous ship.
Yeah,
he actually specifically states that there was
that's
nothing
right.
he could do for the other one.
His rewind powers so far.
I don't think it made sense. Like at first you just think like he's like a spoiled teenager, but really like his mental state is more like a toddler where he doesn't understand like that other people have different emotions than him or something. And I don't know why that would be. Like, even if he's,
I guess something I
even
forgot
if he hasn't
to
been
mention
around people, like it doesn't really make
right.
sense. Psychologically, it just doesn't make sense at all. And then they throw in like the godlike thing also. I feel like they should have just done the like what is a person like without human interaction would have been more interesting. But like, I guess, you know, they also have the absolute power corrupts absolutely kind of thing, and it's just two things mixed together.
There's
and
a
it
lot
didn't
of
make
stuff
sense.
going on like that.
And
I just
feel
want
like everyone like on the ship also treated him like not human, or like at least not like an adult. They treat him like
not like an
child.
adult
Like,
for sure.
they're just like wrong. The first thing, like, he's like kind of rude. I'm like, it's not wrong. He was just a little bit.
Yeah,
rude.
they treated him like a pet
chill.
almost.
Yeah.
Like they don't
It's just
explain
weird.
why it's wrong. I think there was only one.
Yeah.
Like we were waiting for somebody to say, "Wait, that's rude," and Yeoman Rand doesn't do it till like maybe the fourth thing that he does. It's really obviously rude, but she just says no, no. But if you
He
don't,
actually smacks her on the butt. That's
right,
what
but
gets
and
him
then that was
in
a
trouble.
terrible scene. Like, why didn't she explain it?
Yeah.
Like that was really
I don't know
awkward.
why Kirk is like the father figure here, and like Kirk doesn't have children that he knows of that he's fathered that at this point.
Right, like I don't understand. Like,
How old?
as a matter of fact, McCoy is the one who, out of everybody that we've seen so far, actually has raised a kid.
Yeah, I mean, there must
I
be
don't know.
someone out of 400 people that would have a teenage kid they've actually raised. So.
Right. I mean, nobody.
I don't know why Kirk
yeah,
is.
nobody in this
Yeah,
crew
this doesn't
was
make
equipped
sense.
for that. It was a stupid episode. I'm sorry. I don't like it.
All right. Well, I have a lot of questions, follow-up questions for you guys. But Trek on the Tube says that he can't join the video today, but he wants to say hi. It's because we do Thursdays. We do Thursday lower deck discussions, so he only has time for a few things. And of course, he's going to be on the live stream tonight with Continuum Trek. By the way, Sean, I don't know if you heard, but I predicted that I'm going to win tonight's game show. So I think we should start a vetting pool and see what everyone else thinks. But I'm excited about that tonight. Before Gesundheit. Before I dive into those questions, Father, what'd you think of the episode?
I didn't realize that Charlie X was so unpopular because I see some comments about other people not liking it. I really enjoy this one. I think that Charlie is kind of a neat and watchable character. The idea of he was raised by these
Telosians.
Oh
yeah.
Everything right. He knows about humans from the time he was like 2 or 3 years old, he learned from like these tapes. So he has this stunted development, and he is more like a toddler than a 17-year-old as a result of that. And he has this longing to get genuine human interaction that he's been denied his entire childhood. And that's where you get kind of like the tragic monster aspect, not unlike the previously aired episode, The Man Trap, where they're both stories, that they picked for the first 2 episodes. We thought general audiences would connect to this idea of like, okay, here is like the space monster that has to be fought in the end, and our heroes have to defeat it. But in both cases, the monster does have some sympathetic aspects as well.
It's
Father,
so true.
Father, do you have any like what's your opinion on why? I mean, I understand that he's stunted growth, but why doesn't he know that killing is wrong?
Well, he's never been around like other life forms that weren't like these godlike things. So,
and he can't really be killed, as far as we can tell. The Telosians. This is a thing that I think, for me, the Telosians have granted him their power, and so he's probably immortal. He's probably still around. Maybe he grows up to be Q. Who knows? Maybe what the Telosians were Q. Who knows? But like,
I don't think it's like he's like killing. Like he's like I'm gonna murder you. I'm gonna end your life now. And he's more looking at it as like how a little kid would look at it without thinking of the consequences of everything. And he's only looking at it as like, I don't like you. I'm gonna make you go away.
There's evidence of that.
There's toddler god powers. This is kind of the behavior they would exhibit.
I don't like comparing him to a toddler because I definitely think he's aware that he's older than a toddler, and I think he has more intellect than a toddler would, perhaps. But I definitely agree that he's stunted in the sense that he doesn't have emotional experience, and he doesn't really know what true connection with another human is. So I don't think he values life in the same way that we would, and I think
he
that
wants that. Like he feels like that human need, and also like teenage horniness, but he still has like that incredible toddler level emotional maturity.
Right. I would say, yeah, as far as emotions are concerned, he's just all like, he hasn't refined any of his emotions. It's like if he's angry, you might suffer some kind of deformity, which, by the way, Trek on the Tube also says that the woman with no face, wait, here it is. Oh, no. I saw it somewhere over here. Oh yeah, a woman with no face is so awesome. True horror elements. There were a lot of horror aspects to this. Gosh, let me go to the chat for a second before we continue because we got quite a few comments to catch up. Charlie X is one of my least favorite episodes. It reminds me of how the crew treats Wesley Crusher on TNG. I see a little bit of that. I mean, there's definitely a little bit of dismissiveness. Right from that opening scene where Kirk's just like, kind of like, why are you interrupting the adults? That kind of thing. Wesley, get off my bridge. But Wesley's a whole different bag from this.
Wesley also like saves the ship in half of the episodes of season 1 of The Next Generation. So
it's so true.
They're kind of
while intoxicated also.
They're often unfair to Wesley, but they're also like overly fair to him in the other directions.
Did you see the Phase 2 fan flick where Charlie X goes back in time and kills Kirk? No, are you making that up?
We watched that last night. Yeah.
Oh, it's real? What is that?
Yeah.
He really goes...
It stars Alan Ruck.
Oh, of Gods and Men. I know about it. I might have seen that a long time. Is it old? Is that like super old?
Watch it. Yeah, you watched it a long time ago.
A long time ago. Yeah, I feel like I watched. I'm like Gandalf right now. I have no memory of this place. Sorry, but I do remember vaguely.
Yeah, no, it's the original. If I'm not mistaken, it's the original actor who comes back and plays Charlie X again, and they pit him against the character of Gary Mitchell, played by a different actor. But I thought, it's appropriate because these two characters are, in my mind, very similar. And like I was saying, I think the crew treat both very differently and have very different reactions to essentially the same problem. And I don't know. I understand what I understand how Charlie Evans is, especially at the end. He's crying out for, please, don't let me go back to these non-corporeal beings, and there is a hint of tragedy there. But I think the episode just didn't do a very good job, and for me, and I think for Emma as well, of making him sympathetic all the way throughout the story. I mean, that moment of pathos at the very end.
I love that his face is hovering in the background there as we talk about
Yeah.
Charlie. He's just like staring at us there. I didn't mean to interrupt, but go on.
No, I mean it's a very effective performance in the sense that I really hated the character. I mean, I didn't like every time somebody would say, shoo, go away. I'm thinking the same thing. Like, yeah, just go away. But I think also in the way the episode was made. I mean, I know some of the things are of its time. Like I was saying before, why did Yeoman Rand send him to Kirk? Why didn't she explain it? I know that's just a thing of the times, I guess, that the man has to, like Ruben was saying, he has to explain why. But I also noticed when Charlie X was sort of going around the ship, causing havoc, the female characters were the ones that tended to be especially affected by it. Like he turns this one female crew member elderly, then he runs into, and then when he passes the crew members that are laughing at him, the crew member that we see without a face is again a woman, but then he goes by a bunch of guys who are laughing at him and he doesn't do anything to them. So it just seems like overall in this show,
I think that's
the woman who turns into an iguana.
That was Tina, wasn't it?
That was
Yeoman third class.
Yeoman third class. Who I have a question. Is it implied that she's also a teenager?
Yeah, I think that the suggestion was that she was at least very young. I would think that she would probably have to be 17 or 18 to be on a starship, but
But did you think that was a little odd that you'd have a?
Not an
'Cause
18-year-old. I think you could be an enlisted person. You can go right now. You can go and enlist at the age of 18, and some people
you can do it at 17 if
okay.
if your
Yeah.
parent gives permission.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that's
In
weird.
the Kelvin timeline, Chekhov is 17 on in Star
Okay.
Trek 09.
I thought it was a bit younger. Okay.
Also, future people might be more mature at a younger age. Who knows? Like maybe at, you know, although this is not evidence that they are. Robert Walker Jr. Played Charlie Evans, Charlie X, and he died just last year, which is I didn't know that.
December, I think it was like December, November when there were like all those Star Trek deaths at all the same time. Like Aaron Eisenberg and DC Fontana. It was like 4 or 5 in just like a few weeks.
DC Fontana wrote this episode. Speaking of
the script, yeah.
Yeah, I think, right? Was that
she wrote the script from a story by Gene Roddenberry.
Teleplay by and then story by Gene Roddenberry, which we'll probably see a lot of that. Who else was? Let's see. Oh, what was I gonna say about Charlie? Oh yeah, so like going back to the idea, there are a lot of dated. I did notice that, you know, and there's a few comments about it, like these like kind of, and we'll see this a lot. There are a lot of like dated ideas about like men and women and even youth that crop up in this episode, which I think are only interesting from an archaeological or anthropological standpoint, like a, you know, like, oh, look at how, because it just kind of one thing Emma said earlier that kind of like struck me is that where how like people don't really talk to kids that way anymore. And I think maybe Emma, I don't remember how young or how old you are because you seem just like timeless and beautiful, and I'm not sure, you know, but I know that but I do know that you're quite a bit younger than I am, and it was it kind of cheered me at once, but also like made me realize my age when I realized that I was talked to like that as a kid all the time. Like kids were like, you know, as a kid I was not really always allowed to participate in some of the things that I wanted to, especially like I really enjoyed being around adults and listening to adult conversations, and like, you know, I just wanted to like fit in with the adults, and I was often sent away to go play with the kids, and that's the kind of vibe that I got from Charlie. So I empathized, you know, Starfleet boy, I'm still a boy at heart, so I empathized with that kind of thing, and thought it was interesting that those societal tropes were still going on when I was a kid. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Someone your age. What did you get? One of the so we were going back to like what you think about this episode, and one of the highlights for me is William Shatner's performance, and also just the writing of the character of Kirk here, and how he is using this like authority that's like just based on Charlie really like liking him, kind of, to keep at bay the full like brunt of what Charlie could possibly do. Like as soon as he starts realizing what's going on, he starts to manipulate Charlie really to kind of keep him in check. But that hold is so thin, and I just really, that's what I caught into during this episode, and I think that's what that dynamic between the two of them was what was most interesting for me about this episode. Because again, like I said, I didn't love it, but I also thought that like if I took anything away from value, it was that like dynamic, and then just in the performances between Robert Walker and William Shatner, I just really, really enjoyed it. And of course, this episode has an iconic scene where they're fighting or sparring, which I'm sure you guys have seen the memes, the red outfits that they were
I don't think I've seen the memes.
No one's seen that? Like
my cat happened to jump in front of the TV when we were watching that scene, so it kind of covered up, you know, some of the things I didn't want to see from Kirk, so I appreciated that.
Yeah, she was horrified when Kirk shows up without his shirt.
I don't know why is the first thing like that Kirk like teaches this kid, like, you know, throwing people and stuff also. Like, really, it's the first thing we're going to teach this kid? All right. I don't get it.
Chris or Myth, Duster says, I felt Gary Mitchell was better treated than Charlie X. Gary Mitchell has morals, whereas Charlie X is all about me. Gary Mitchell was about making a better society. I want to say that, like, I felt this episode kind of harkened back to The Cage a little bit because Charlie's backstory is kind of tragic in a similar way that Vina's backstory is tragic. And these Thasians kind of adopted him as much as the Telosians adopted Vina and, like, you know, gave them special abilities or powers. Like they were able to give Vina the illusion, or like, you know, an illusion that felt real, but like to restore her to a human form and have her be, you know, like basically ageless and all this stuff. And here's Charlie, who, to save him, because you know, otherwise he would have died. Like everyone's baffled at first. They're like, how does this guy just survive? Like there's no food on that planet, and all he watched was like these tapes, right? Like, it's because the Thasians also pitied him in some way, and the only way they could actually like care for him was to elevate him somehow to whatever they are. Like they transformed this human child into a part Thasian, and I thought that was very interesting as well.
Yeah, that's a neat comparison. And in both those cases, you have this human that's been removed from the rest of humanity, and even though these aliens that have adopted them kind of give them all these benefits, all these alien superpowers. In both cases, you're dealing with a character who is lonely and longing for a genuine emotional connection with another human being.
Totally.
This was. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, that's what I was going to get to.
Yeah, Ruben's asking about the production order, and this is later in the production, because I have the guide that I have has production order versus the airing order, and this one's later in the schedule. This is not one of the first episodes that they produced. This is a little bit later. I think this might be maybe episode 7. This might be the 7th or 8th episode they produced.
Oh wow, I didn't realize it was that later, but it is the second. Obviously,
it's it's number 7 if you count Where No Man Has Gone Before as 1. If you count The Cage, then it's number 8.
Yeah. Okay.
It's so interesting to me that it was made as the 7th episode, but released as the 2nd episode. It's so cool how they used to do that back then. Hey, Idic Warriors here, who just subscribed to our channel last night. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Man, if this episode was on Star Trek today, they would cancel Star Trek due to how Kirk talks about Yeoman Rand.
Wow.
Things have changed for the better for women since the 60s. This is true.
It's so true. Cancel Charlie X. You smell like a girl.
Oh, that's funny.
Idic Warrior, tell us what you think of the episode. What did you like about it? We'll go with that first, because I'm sure we'll end with lots more of what we disliked about the episode.
One part that was interesting to me was for me, one of the memorable parts of the episode was when they're all gathered in the rec room and Uhura is singing.
Yes,
which is something that happens. Uhura and Spock getting together to make music is something that happens a couple of times, I think.
It's like they went to like some medieval pastimes in the future.
It's like
lute and,
he's playing. Isn't it the Vulcan lyre? Isn't it called a lyre?
Yeah. I think lyre and lute are fairly
similar. But Lyre, by the way, it's the Vulcan lyre.
Yeah, it has an actual Vulcan word, but I can't think of the name of it.
I forgot. I'm glad you brought that scene up because I had it in my notes, but I forgot to mention it in the summary. But I love it. And then also we'd been talking about like the previous episode as like this sort of like semi-flirtatious scene, and here I think it kind of extends that a little bit. It kind of provides a little bit more oomph to that, where they're at least very friendly, I would say. And Spock does give like a wicked smile, which I liked. It's not quite a smile, but there was like that wicked kind of knowing, like, I bet Emma, do you want to like break that scene?
Actually, I felt like I felt like both like Spock and Charlie X were like not quite into like what she was singing. Like they weren't quite in on the joke. I feel
Well,
like
she
felt
was
a little
definitely
bit
making
mean
fun
to
of
me.
Spock.
So yeah, but like I mean, sometimes like I feel like when you usually see like in a medieval a movie like that or something, like everyone's kind of in on the joke, but it kind of seemed like Spock and Charlie both like weren't really in on the joke. Obviously, Charlie shows he's not, but it seemed like a little mean. But I did love Spock playing the instrument, so I'll forgive it.
I wish that like Star Trek in Star Trek Discovery or Star Trek Picard, someone would break out into song just the way Uhura does in the rec room, and that would be a really cool thing.
In the fan
we might
film,
get it in Strange New Worlds.
What's the name of the film we watched?
Oh, of Gods and Monsters.
Oh, in Of Gods and Monsters, Nichelle Nichols is in that, and she like at the end of the film she sings that to him, the song she sang. That it's pretty cool.
No way.
Yeah, it kind of redeems Charlie X.
I mean, I agree.
It makes him a better character in that film.
I know it's a fan film, but I actually do feel that Charlie X is more. He's more sympathetic.
He learns
in the movie that they made, and
the actor who plays Captain Harriman's in that episode, in that Of Gods and Monsters. What's his name?
Alan Ruck.
Alan Ruck, thank you. You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, that was done for the 40th anniversary. My memory's not very good. I'm not sure if anything was on the air during the 40th, or if that was when we were
right after Enterprise went off the air.
So that was kind of like the low point for Star Trek, I guess.
By the way,
we had no show.
We weren't.
So I guess the fans put it together.
I didn't plan to speak about Of Gods and Monsters, but I just pulled it up real quick because it's been so long since I've seen it. But I forgot that it was directed by Tim Russ, which is pretty awesome too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's very cool. And I didn't realize all these people are in it. It's Nichelle Nichols, Walter Koenig, Grace Lee Whitney comes back, Alan Ruck, as we mentioned, Chase Masterson's in it. Tim Russ himself, Garrett Wang, Ethan Phillips, J.G. Hertzler, Sirach Lofton, and Gary Graham are all in it. That sounds like an insane thing.
Somebody from each of the shows was in the.
Yeah, that's really nuts. I got to go back and check that out for sure now. The word in Vulcan is the Ka'athir. Thank you very much, Ruben. The Ka'athir, or the Ka'athir. Ka'athir. Emma. Ka'athir. I don't know why that was directed at Emma. I do know.
Why, yeah.
I like the instrument the best. I enjoy
you like that? Yes. That happens again in the show, right? That him and Uhura are is that he plays the
yeah, I have
just my memory.
I have some vague memories of it, but I don't know for sure.
But I mean, I know there's a space hippie episode where
Spock jams out with the hippies in the way to Eden, but he also I think you see him with it in A Lane of Troyes and in The Naked Time.
Wow.
Oh,
that's a lot of singing.
Pretty soon.
Heading out to Eden. Yay, brother. Heading out to Eden. Yay, brother.
I actually don't like that episode, but that's not what I hate.
Yeah, I don't remember the song.
Yeah. That'll be a fun one to watch.
If you the song, you're a Herbert.
Yes. You're a Herbert, remember? Yeah. That's what
So we reach.
What's that?
We reach.
We reach. Oh my god! I can't wait to get to that episode. I feel like we need to have costumes.
That's all the way to season 3, man. Right? Season 3, right?
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Season 3, yeah. Got a long way to go.
I liked how it shows how easily people can be dehumanized. It shows how important it is to have a great moral foundation as a child. I like that.
Yeah, even though it is kind of like a dated view on it, but I definitely agree with that sentiment. But I think it would have to be updated a little bit today if they were making this now, where it couldn't be relegated to like, well, every boy needs a strong father image to look up to, and you could almost read this episode as if you're denied like a strong father figure, then you can't be a properly developed person, which is not a very modern sentiment. But
I think that's why Kirk truly is horrified and lamentful in the end, because he wasn't strong enough to turn Charlie into a caring and loving human.
Save them all.
He can't save them all. It's true. I think that's.
I love how ballsy Kirk is, though, where he's like, I'm gonna stand up to this guy who's trying to take over my ship. Like, I'm the captain. Where like when he tells them to like let Spock go, he's like, you need me to run the ship and I need him. Like he's pretty ballsy.
Yeah. I mean, he has.
Ending... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say he has everything to lose, and that's when Kirk shines, doesn't he? It's like when he's like kind of put up against that wall, like is whenever that happens, Kirk's like, no, I'm not gonna let it happen, you know.
But he even says that, like, we have everything to lose. He even says that when they're trying to stop Charlie, because he says like, I mean, he's just gonna wipe us out when he gets to Colony 5 anyway. So what do we have to lose?
Yeah, no, I agree. The Kirk at the end is I mean, that's the classic Kirk of, you know, the big gamble, right?
Yeah,
let's
gamble.
Just, you know, let's just go for it. Let's try it.
Good novel, The Klingon Gambit.
Yes, there we go. But it was quite a gamble, because really, his reasoning and the idea that that he's overexerted himself. I'm not quite sure. I'm still not quite sure what he based that on. I mean, going back to Where No Man Has Gone Before, in that episode,
he was basing it on the observation. Like, I think he was, or no, actually, I think he even says it like it's like a guess. I think I felt like it was like a guess.
Yeah, it's a guess.
He hasn't seen anyone disappear in like, I don't know, 20 minutes or something. So he's like, oh, he must be tired.
Yeah, it was just kind of I mean, it was a shot in the dark, where I feel that Where No Man Has Gone Before, that episode actually gave the evidence that Gary Mitchell, there are certain situations where his eyes, go back to normal, and he is, he's more himself, and they can, they can intervene at that point. But
Father does it way better than I do.
Oh
my god, I love it. I wish we could play the music too. I just love the music in the original series.
You know what? I have to say, the music, I love the music of the original show.
It's so good.
The effects. I mean, I've often said that one of the things I hate about subsequent shows, when they have a Vulcan do the mind meld, is they don't play the
dun-no.
Like, I love all that, and I mean, not really liking the story. I found myself drawn to other elements, like I was saying, the colors. Like, I just love the use of the colors in.
We see really strongly the pen light effect here on in the scene
Chapter.
Where also on Charlie,
Charlie.
there's a couple times where they do the pen light to kind of highlight his eyes, and like to use shadow and light as a dramatic tool, as a tool for telling stories. Things are so much subtler these days, and with high definition, you have so many different techniques you can use to do the same things. But I just love when, like, now, I just love these seeing these things. They seem, because they haven't been used in so long, they seem fresh somehow and different, and that's what I like them. Maybe because I haven't seen them in so long. But,
I have that effect right now on my face for some reason. I have a lens flare.
Oh, let's get a close up of that. Yeah, you do. Well, this. It's a little more, it's a little more J.J. Abrams.
That is kind of energy. Like, those Kelvin movies, they did have a like bright, colorful Star Trek that was kind of reminiscent of the original series, and it's something that I kind of miss in shows like Discovery, where I think they have neat sets and uniforms and stuff, and everything is these cool blues and grays and silvers, and it's all very like sterile. I want like those colors that pop, like even like when they're in their workout room and they're in the red tights but there's like the yellow pipe on the back of the wall. It's just like, it's bright, it's colorful, because in the 60s they were trying to get people to buy colored TVs, but I like it.
It's
It
true.
looks great. It does.
I noticed something interesting in this. Like, I know a lot of people critiqued the J.J. Abrams films as well as Star Trek Discovery for having the delta is on everything, right? And I know it's like an extreme pattern here, and it's like, you know, it is everywhere. But I noticed in this episode, like, the delta's on the tights, the delta's on the casual thing. The delta is on a lot of things, and like that was something that I hadn't noticed, and I was like, oh, that's very interesting. Like, the designers are in fact taking these like kind of cues from the original series, and I mean they're going nuts with them, but they're but they're like there, which is really nice.
It was there in the beginning, yeah. And I want to say we're watching the DVDs, the remastered DVDs. I only have season 2, I think, on Blu-ray, and everything, just the remastering they've done on that show, it's just phenomenal, and the colors really pop. And it looks, the show looks and sounds great. I mean, again, going back to the music and the soundscape, it's some, like, even when you're not really into the story, you get into it because you just like hearing the sounds, and it really looks good. And you know what? To the credit of the episode, the regular cast is all very good. I mean, I like the chess game between Kirk and Spock. That little moment where it's just them, and Spock is like, "You're gonna lose," and then Kirk kind of like, "Booyah," and Spock is like, "You're illogic, you're whatever." I forget what the line is, but
and I love Kirk as like the chess player, because when he's deciding that they have nothing else to lose, like he's the chess master who's already like seen the game played out, and he's thinking like several moves ahead, and he's
love that.
Yeah, what happened to the Antares? That's going to be us if we let him get to Colony 5. And if I could just say about the remaster where they added like the CGI ship shots, Antares is never seen in the original version of the episode, but when I didn't
realize that.
Yeah, when they were doing the remasters, though, they used a design from the animated series because Michael Okuda really liked the robot ship from the.
Wait, sorry. Can you show it again? There it is.
So that was that design being used in the episode "More Troubles, More Troubles," and this is the book.
I remember that. Oh, I do remember that. You're absolutely right.
I'm looking at the official guide to the animated series.
I'm so jealous of that book, man.
We got to get that book. I got to order it. I'll order it for both of us. I got to get on that game.
That's a great
which,
book.
by the way, Father, can you plug your episode again real quick since you shared the book?
Oh, yeah. On Text Trek, we covered the animated series recently to celebrate Star Trek's return to an animated show with Lower Decks. And we discuss all 22 episodes of the animated series in 2 different podcasts with both authors of the book, Aaron Harvey and Rich Shepis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Guys, go check it out. Everyone go check that out. Stop watching the stream and then you can come back. Okay. All right. These are live now, so I have to keep that in mind. I want to go to the comments again, if you guys don't mind, because there's quite a few piling up there. So Idic Warrior says, I also like how it made me kind of feel sorry for Charlie in the end. He was a brat, but if only he would have been rescued as a child. I could see him be an officer in Starfleet. Yeah, I agree. It is kind of tragic. It's like when you find a feral child, and have.
Does it happen to you often, Sahel?
Finding feral children. It happens less now than it used to. I will say that.
Life, I can vouch for that.
It was horrifying when he takes their faces away. Yeah, everyone agreed. There was a couple comments about the face scene. I thought that was very horrific, actually, and well done, that makeup.
Recreated that.
Yes, that's right.
2006.
The
Yeah,
Wire is the name of that episode. I don't know why I recalled that so
who
quickly.
recreated that?
Doctor Who did that in remember The Wire?
Oh,
the episode where Rose and Mickey and the Doctor
TV
go
one.
back in time. Yeah, the TV episode.
Yeah,
Oh, it's not called The Wire, is it? That's the thing. It's called the Idiot's Lantern.
Oh, the Idiot's Lantern.
Sorry.
That's what it's called.
The Idiot Box or Idiot, whatever. But that was one where they go back in time to 1953 London.
Right. The Idiot's Lantern is the hoity-toity sophisticated way that British people say the boob tube, which is what we call television. So that was the name for television. So.
I don't really get why it's called the boob tube. Like, are there that many boobs on TV? Doesn't feel like there are.
I believe it's a reference to the booby, a bird, which looks kind of silly. I think, but I'm not 100%
You're watching
sure
TV,
about that.
You're a boob.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, ooh.
That's what I think. See, these are things that are getting lost in time. That's what I'm saying. And from an anthropological perspective, like watching Star Trek and some of these older shows, like brings a lot of these cool things into light. I love it. We're also anthropologists and archaeologists on this show, guys. Oh, here's the actual words, so I'll just give it a moment here. Heading out to Eden, yay, brother. Heading out to Eden. No more trouble in my body or my mind. Gonna live like a king on whatever I find. I don't remember if that's the words. Eat all the fruit and throw away the rind. Yay, brother.
That sounds right.
Father E, nowadays it would definitely need to be updated. My grandmother was my moral teacher. Doesn't have to be a father. Very cool. It's true. 100% agree.
If this had been a Next Generation episode, I mean, Charlie would definitely have been passed on to Troy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but I think they would still either want like Picard or Riker to come in and have like some
probably Riker. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Dramatic purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait till my son and I get to TOS on his first watch through. We just watched the great Enterprise Season 3 episode, Azadi Prime and Damages, last night. He loved them. That's awesome.
Great.
Which one's Azadi Prime? I don't remember that one.
I think that's like kind of near the end of that Zindi story arc, where they're I think that's like where Archer's finally meeting up with like Dagra and the other Zindis. Maybe those all kind of bleed together. I don't really
Is that the one where he finds the guy, one of the scientist colony, and they're the ones that made part of the weapon or something? I'm not sure.
It's a little bit after that.
Oh, it's after that. Okay.
Interesting. Going back to that question of who would Charlie... Do we ever see a story like this again in Star Trek? As far as I can tell, no. Like, maybe is in Voyager. I haven't gotten to that episode, but I understand the son of Q comes into play or something like that. Are there vibes there?
Q Junior and
Q Junior
Voyager. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Except whereas I say like Charlie often behaves like kind of like a teenager, or a toddler in a teenage body. And the episode Q2 is the name of it. The son of Q, he's more like a typical teenager. Like he turns 7 of 9 naked, just like snapping his fingers, like her clothes disappear. He like reconfigures the warp core to where it's like giving off like, I guess it wouldn't have been dubstep music back in 2001, but it's like some type of like techno music with like this like the warp core's like pulsing is like the rhythm. And there's like all these people. There's like a rave and engineering. All these people dancing and stuff. Like he's doing stuff like that, like more of a typical
okay, gotcha. That's interesting. Typical stuff for a 90s kid.
And DS9 has an episode with a feral child with Molly O'Brien got abandoned for a year.
Yeah.
Is like out of sync with time, and then like all of a sudden she's a teenager.
Oh, geez.
Right.
I don't remember that one.
That the concept of somebody, a young child being raised on their own is very interesting. What I would have preferred to have seen is this episode do without the whole godlike powers part.
Yeah.
Like if it had just been, hey, how did this feral kid survive out there, and you have this kid who just doesn't quite know how to fit in. It would have been interesting if maybe.
See, that to me is 100% a TNG Counselor Troy Riker episode that you guys talked about earlier. But to me, you can't remove. To me, whether I like or dislike this episode, like the godlike powers and Charlie, like they go hand in hand. And in fact, one of the things I do take away or remember is that like idea as a kid thinking like there is a limit to it. I think it does send like this message like of, hey kids or whoever's watching this, there's a limit to everything, everyone's power. There's no such thing as unlimited power like Palpatine, like Palpatine claims to have. It is done, of course, it is done in a Deus Ex Machina way. I think the tweak I would have made is if Kirk and crew subdued Charlie and then were able to rehabilitate him or do something to suppress his powers or take away those powers. And then now Charlie is on even playing field with them. And he's forced to now deal with humans, and things like that. Yeah, it would have been a happier ending, perhaps.
I love the note that this one ends on with Charlie just being like, "I want to stay." It's like so scary. Like he really doesn't want to, and it makes like these godlike aliens have almost kind of like a cosmic horror element to them, even though they're not really mean, but they just like. It's powerful, scary stuff that we're not meant to know about.
Right.
Mysterious.
That we're not meant to know about. Yeah, I totally agree with that. The idea that there are things in the universe that are scary. It's almost like a Cthulhu kind of thing. Like, with all the science we have, there's still things out there that we just can't understand and we shouldn't mess with. And I guess we should talk a little bit about these aliens, right?
We don't
know much about them.
Let's rap a little about these aliens. See, that's an outdated term from the...
Let's rap about that. But
let's rap a little about these aliens.
We don't really know. We don't really get to learn much about them in the episode, and I don't think there's any mention of them ever again. But I mean, when you consider the level of power that they imbue Charlie with, you have to assume that they have even greater power. So this is Q level, power. Stuff here. I mean, it's just messing with the very nature of reality. One of the scariest things to me in the episode was the way that people would just disappear. It's not. It's kind of it's unclear if they're dead. Or if they just go away to some other place, or I mean, I'm not sure.
Speaking about the Q, it's like in that episode where Q grants Riker Q powers. Tasha's in some kind of penalty box, and I thought that was interesting. She disappeared from the play field, and then she was back on the bridge, but she couldn't move. She was just like in this limbo state, and I wonder if that's what happened, is that they go into their signal fades over time, and that's why his godfather couldn't save the people from the Antares, but they could kind of still retrieve someone who wasn't eviscerated too long, or whatever the correct word would be, too long ago. So it is interesting. Like, that is scary. There's a lot of horror. The horror is pretty deep in this episode, I thought, when you really think about it. But Idic Warrior says, hope I'm not spoiling anything. Don't know where Emma and Humbert's watch history is. And hello also to Emma and Humbert. So
hello.
I will just explain that Starfleet Boy is spoiler heavy. Spoiler heavy. We have spoilers galore on this show. Yeah, spoiler happy. So it's totally fine. Most of I myself haven't finished watching Enterprise. I just started watching it in earnest last or a couple of years ago, and I also haven't finished Voyager, and I'm eating it up now, but it took me 25 years to get into Star Trek Voyager. So I think but I do know everything that goes on. I think when a show's been on for long enough, you just have to kind of expect spoilers. So audience who've been listening along, I hope you don't mind, but we do spoil everything on Starfleet Boy.
No problem.
All right, good.
I don't think I'll remember those like little details anyway by the time I get there.
But the Telosians are interesting. So we've got the Telosians, which have immense power through their abilities of manipulating through using illusion. We have the Thasians that are basically like Q. Later on, we get the Squire of Gothos. Who, there's a lot of these. There's Q, of course. There's a lot of these like entities in or beings in Star Trek that have like extraordinary powers. And I think, interestingly enough, it is Deus Ex Machina from a mechanics perspective, but it also isn't, because it's totally plausible that these aliens could have these. That's what I like about Star Trek, is you can introduce the supernatural, but Star Trek always tries to explain it scientifically, or at least like consider it from a perspective of a scientific perspective. No one's like horrified. No one's going, "Oh my god, you're a god." Like everyone on the ship just thinks, "Oh, these are aliens that have a power that's beyond our understanding," or something like that. And I've always liked that.
Yeah,
that's true.
Rooted in the quasi-realism of Star Trek with their sci-fi stuff. But what you were saying about it being kind of have a horror element to it, that's what the network wanted. That's what NBC wanted. So I think that's why this was the second episode to air, because I think to them that's what they thought science fiction was. It's like creatures from the Black Lagoon, or whatever, saucermen, UFOs coming to Earth and attacking people, War of the Worlds, that type of stuff. The Twilight Zone was a really big deal when Star Trek was coming out. So I think they were like, yeah, Twilight Zone, that show scares the shit out of people. We want something like that. And that's why they were like, oh yeah, look at these monsters. Like, we have the salt vampire, we have Charlie X. So they were pushing that stuff front and center.
I totally agree with Valerie. Yeah, I think definitely sci-fi with a horror element is what was seen as very viable and popular. And I'm thinking, Twilight Zone for sure, but also The Forbidden Planet, which was probably one of the few, very serious science fiction films. Most sci-fi films of the 50s are B movies, but movies like The Day the Earth Stood Still and Forbidden Planet are A movies, A-list movies. And The Forbidden Planet definitely had that element of beings with, godlike powers almost. They ended up destroying themselves, and you have the guy who's stuck on the planet with his daughter. He has those mental powers that end up tormenting the crew, and that visits the planet. And early Star Trek reminds me a bit of Forbidden Planet, even down to the idea of how the bridge crew interact. If you watch that film, and they kind of have like a trio of characters that are very similar to kind of a Kirk, Spock, McCoy dynamic in that film. So, and that movie, for its time, had some horrific elements. So yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, sci-fi with a bit of horror.
I love some of the conversation in the chat going on right now. So one of the things was Idic Warrior pointing out Monster of the Week, and I remember that being a phrase thrown around a lot, in regards to Star Trek. But then in regards to Star Trek Voyager, it felt like Anomaly of the Week.
Oh, God.
I think Monster of the Week is something I also use to describe like the first season of Buffy.
Yeah.
Oh, Buffy.
That's true. Yeah.
Also, Smallville had the meteor freaks, so that was like the freak of the week.
Both shows that I haven't seen, but except for little bits of, I heard Buffy was very groundbreaking though for its time. It was like a really revolutionary kind of show, and I do remember hearing a lot of good things about Smallville as well. Good references there. real quickly, going back to the Q thing earlier, Q's kid is a bratty, cocky kid because he knows he has it all already. Charlie is an insecure, disconnected, semi-depressed kind of teenager who ends up listening to a lot of The Cure.
Aw.
Right on.
Emo Charlie X.
Emo Charlie. Oh my gosh. Charlie X with the straight edge. You can put the X's on your arms. That could be a cool cosplay. do you guys have? I don't have anything else in my notes. I think we covered like pretty much everything, and we're coming up to the hour mark here. Do you guys have anything else? Any other thoughts on this episode? Audience who are tuned in, if you have anything, please feel free to put it in the chat or the comments. Well, the chat, because the comments we don't see, but the chat we do see. What do you guys think?
I love the wardrobe, the shirt or jacket or whatever it is that Charlie X is wearing, and like you were saying, it has the Starfleet Delta on the side, kind of like Kirk's green wraparound. I want to like cosplay in that. I don't know if that's like some type of weird uniform, or that's just like, oh, if a guy beams over, he doesn't have another change of clothes, we just slap this on. I want to wear that. And the Antares crew people that beam over, they're wearing like the cage where No Man Has Gone Before style uniforms with a different patch on them.
Yeah, they didn't get
totally
the new
true. Father, I have some good news for you. For a mere $79, you can have something. It's not quite the one that Charlie's wearing, but Anovo sells like the wraparound for $80. So you can get here. I'm gonna just share the screen real quick, and you guys can see this. But by the way, this is an unsolicited Anovo thing. Yeah. So do you guys see this? Look at this.
Database boy should change that to in
actually,
clothing.
sorry. For $79, you can get the utility belt. I was looking at the wrong thing. It's the utility belt. So, but they use the wraparound to kind of model it. But the one Charlie has is different. It's like a beige color.
$79?
Utility belts are in, babe.
$79?
Novos is very pricey. They're very proud of their uniforms and apparel.
I want a utility belt.
And I probably shouldn't say what I was about to say, so I'm not going to.
No, go for it, man. Come on.
You guys, I closed myself out of the stream. That was so weird. Taryn says, great discussion.
Did you see where Charlie sends people when he makes them disappear?
That's what happened. I went into that weird limbo. I went into the weird limbo place.
Glad you're back.
Thank you. That was so weird and scary. I don't know what happened. Sorry about that. Were you guys? But so yeah, the costumes, everything. Just I'm really surprised at how much I'm appreciating the original series a lot more than I really thought I would. I agree with you on that, Fathery.
Yeah, I never get tired of watching these original series episodes that I like. I actually like Charlie X, but this is just some of like the most watchable Star Trek for me. I've rewatched this I don't know how many times.
Oh, I feel like we're so lucky to have you then, because you've got a lot of closeness to Star Trek the original series. Idic Warrior says, how many of these episode reviews are there? Gonna have to check them out. So Idic Warrior, on the channel, we have reviewed every single episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. We've discussed them, actually. These are casual and informal discussions. That's like the style. And we just started our original series discussion. The reason I chose to start with TNG is because, like Fathery loves to watch the original series, TNG is where I love to just kind of like throw it on and like revisit it often. So I felt most comfortable starting there. But now we're on the original series. After this, we're going to do the animated series. And then we're going to go to Deep Space Nine and Voyager and stuff like that. Yeah. But also... Yes. We will do... we will also do Enterprise. This is like 20 years later. I've already laid out the 20-year plan for this channel.
But also done all the movies?
We've done up to Star Trek 5. We've done up to Star Trek 5.
Yeah, we're overdue for 6. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's 2. I think this is the 282nd video on Starfleet Boy. This video right here, or maybe it's the 283rd. I'm not sure, but we're around that point. Also, Idic Warrior, we also have discussions for Star Trek Discovery Season 1 and Season 2, for Star Trek Picard Season 1, and we're doing Lower Decks as it airs, and we will be doing Strange New Worlds as well. Gosh, that's a lot of content, huh?
It's a lot.
And similarly,
100 individual productions of stuff. Like, I think that after Lower Decks Season 1 and then a few episodes into Season 3 of Discovery, and we will reach 800 total episodes, movies, and short films all combined, if you count, the
holy
short tracks.
shiitake mushrooms.
So yeah, 800 is a lot.
Question.
By the way, wait, one more thing. Text Trek, which is Father's channel, is our spiritual brother channel, and much of the same, right? Wouldn't you say so? Like, we're kind of on a similar mission, right?
I want to be like the weird half. Well, who should be Cybok? What out of the two of us, who is Cybok? And who's Spock?
I think you've got the hair. You should be Cybok. I'll be Spock.
I see your pain. Share it with me.
My
We
pain.
can pass through it together.
I love it.
You've already taken
love it.
steps. All the Cybok I know.
Before we go, I have a question. Would you, because Starfleet Boy, you are in command of this ship, would you ever consider doing a review of, like, say, of Gods and Monsters?
Yes.
Or the Star Trek Continues? I mean, is that something you would be interested in doing? Or
So it's been requested, and I think we are going to work in Star Trek Continues after the animated series, since it's not that long. How many episodes of Star Trek Continues are there?
10 or 11.
Yeah, I feel like we should. Father, do you think that's an appropriate order to do, like, Star Trek Continues after the animated series?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like we will.
Into the movie, it goes into the motion picture.
So yeah.
Oh yeah, it does go into the motion picture. You're right. Yeah, so we will do that. Yes, I'm very fond of Star Trek Continues. I think it's like obviously they can't do it anymore because of the restrictions on fan films that have been placed now. But I love it. I love that. That's something I would have done if I had the resources and the time to do. It's just a really cool idea, and 100%. And I did on my birthday when I was young, and when I asked my parents if what I could have for my birthday, I think I was 11 maybe, was to do a Star Trek movie, and so my dad filmed me and my friends acting out an episode of Star Trek.
Has that been digitized?
It hasn't. I've got. Hubbard's seen it. I'm pretty sure the doctor's seen it, right?
I vaguely remember this. Yes.
Seeing it, yeah. And I think Ruben was at the birthday party, so it'll be really interesting to see him there. Ruben in the who's our chat moderator, and thank you again for doing that. But anyways, if I do find it, Fathery, it's getting digitized like right away, and I'll definitely throw it online so that everyone can see it.
Maybe we'll do an episode review of that on text.
Yes,
there we go.
That would be amazing. So let's get to the rating of the episode. I'll go first, as is tradition. I give this episode a solid 5 out of 10. Again, this discussion, you know what? I think I'm going to say a 6, actually. No, because I think this discussion actually made me warm up to the episode even more. I did come into it with a harsher critique, but like talking to you guys made me feel like it might be a 6. So I'm going to give it a 6. A little bit average, just because, again, that performance dynamic between Shatner and is it Walker is just fantastic. I ate it up. I love that stuff.
I'm going to give it a 3. Like I said, I don't like it. I mean, what's good in the episode is, comes out of the regular cast. And like I said, the production design and everything, the stuff you can always rely on with the original Trek. But like I said, I just don't think the story is there for me. I don't like Charlie. Charlie. And I'm sorry. I mean, it's a 3 for me. What do you want?
Hey, no need to apologize. This is no apologies for your ratings here. And Father doesn't even like to give ratings, so he's really indulging us by giving ratings. So so no
see what ratings really convey in this day and age. Like, we just spent an hour talking about it. I think that has more meaning than
weight
arbitrary numbers we assign to it.
It's honestly, we do it for Sean. Like, I was gonna abolish the ratings, but we do it for Sean because he likes to rank and rate everything.
Well, yeah, especially with Sohel, who gives most things a 10 out of 10. Like,
well,
that's why he really seems kind of redundant.
That's by the way. That's why I go first. By the way, because the doctor started mistrusting my ratings. Also, it's to get it out of the way so that the real ratings, as he likes to say, can be seen. That's true.
That's fair.
I'm gonna go with a 2 for about the same reasons. I was thinking a 1 initially, but there are those just classic Star Trek.
Wow, we got you to
and everything, and I did enjoy the loot scene. I forgot the word for it somehow.
Mm-hmm.
the loot or liar or the Ka'atana or whatever it was called. Yeah.
Vulcan loot is what I hear the most.
Vulcan loot. And now, Fathery, I know you don't like to give ratings, but if you could just indulge us again, just for this. This is the only time you do give ratings.
I will give it 7.47.
Woo!
Tigers burning bright.
Oh wow!
No. I love it.
Yeah,
so like with these extremes, I think that we can just kind of like safely agree that it kind of lands at about a 5.5967. So I think that's like pretty good for this episode overall. I just want to go back to the comments before we close out, just to say that I'm not going to post your comment up because we don't have too much time, but you are welcome here as well, Idic Warrior. And, I love your participation, and I'm sorry you experienced that intro to the Star Trek community, but I'm glad you're here, and I hope we never disappoint you. And then also, let's see. Oh, we also got a rating, so 6.5 out of 10. So yeah, it's kind of like squarely falls into that average episode zone. Guys, anything to promote before we go out today?
Can we promote for someone else?
Yes, absolutely.
We watched Monday night. I don't know if you know Grace Potter. She's a musician. She's a great musician. I've seen her live a couple of times. And on Monday nights, she does something called Twilight Time, where basically, she's doing music live online. And she actually performed a Star Trek themed episode last week. And it was at the sets where they filmed Star Trek Continues, the one that's in New York.
Wonderful.
And she was in costume, and it's if I'm sure if you go to her YouTube channel, they have it archived there. But I watched
the one in New York is in Ticonderoga, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
is Star Trek Grace Potter is Star Trek the tour or something like, or the experience, right? Like the Star Trek tour, I think it's called. Okay. Yeah, and then there is another. I thought, I might be mistaken, but I thought that Star Trek Continues was filmed in the one that's in Georgia.
Oh, you're correct. That's the one.
Oh, okay. Georgia, there is another one in Georgia.
Yes, that's the one where they filmed Star Trek Continues. She was in the one in New York.
Okay, got it.
Which the sets look amazing. They have engineering and everything. Yeah.
Sean and Gary, Trek on the Tube and Trekker Prize, visited the one in Ticonderoga, and if you go to Trekker Prize's blog, you can see pictures from that, and there's a video on Trekker Prize's channel about that as well, if I'm not mistaken. So go check that out. All right, very cool. Nice promo for Grace Potter. We will check it out. Father, what you got going on? I know what you got going on, but go ahead and tell the audience.
With the 23 weeks of Star Trek coming out, starting just a couple of days ago, we will be covering each episode of Star Trek Lower Decks Season 1 and Star Trek Discovery Season 3. Fridays at 7:30 p.m. Central and we'll have about an hour and a half live stream followed by Starfleet Boy After Dark.
Boy After Dark. We're doing a thing like they used to do on TV where you had like a back-to-back like kind of thing. But by the way, I was having internet problems, so I didn't get to go to your whole stream. But what I did, it was an excellent first episode. Excellent first stream. I was enjoying myself. I was laughing with you guys. Dave and Brian are just awesome co-hosts, and I hope we can do a big thing at some point in the future where we're all together again, which would be really cool.
Yeah, that sounds like it'd be a lot of fun. And I just want to say thank you to Idic Warrior with the very kind words in the chat. I certainly appreciate that, and I will take all of Nerdrotic's castaways who couldn't stand his BS and I don't want to say any more nasty things about this other personality that I don't really like who's on YouTube, but if you don't prefer that, Text Truck and Starfleet Boy are both good homes for you.
I agree with that. I just want to say that so Father already plugged Starfleet Boy After Dark, which we do. It's just anything goes on Friday nights at 10 p.m. right after the Text Trek Lower Decks review, and I highly recommend you come. Last night was our biggest show ever. We had 9 participants on the show, and somehow it held together. It wasn't just like a zany, well, maybe it was a zany mess, but we had a really great time, and we actually stuck pretty true to Star Trek. Sean from Trekka on the Tube and I are doing Thursday nights at 6 p.m. Our Lower Decks reviews, but I feel like at some point we just got to blend it all in. Everyone's welcome, so Father, you got to come on sometime, and PJ will come on, I'm sure. And you guys, if you guys are interested in watching Lower Decks, please hop on that as well. And then we have this discussion, which takes place every Saturday at 3 p.m. right after Larry Nemechek's broadcast, which I was on today, and it was so great to watch. Yeah, cool. He does we actually were going to go on at 2 p.m. was going to be our time, but we moved it to 3 so we could kind of not overlap with his live stream, because he's doing kind of like this wonderful series. Do you remember what it's called, Father? I'm blanking on it, but Life Support Live. Yeah, but it's really cool because he's on with a doctor, Dr. Matu, Mati. Damn, I'm like totally flubbing everything. But anyways, they discuss Star Trek among other things, but like today's theme was romance, and so they were just talking about ways of having healthy romances, of not having healthy romances. I learned, like I kind of the episode today reminded me to kind of like reconnect with things that I have lost connection with from normal life now that we're in this time, of COVID-19, and we're all trying to like isolate and try to do our best to not only preserve our own lives but also to save others' lives. We've kind of fallen out of these routines. One of the things I miss the most is going to the movie theater, for example, and seeing a movie, and things like that. But there's new connections that we can make and new things that we can kind of do to help us keep grounded and keep having fun and feeling good, even though we're in these extraordinary times right now. So I highly recommend you guys check that stream out too, and then of course come and watch Starfleet Boy. We're gonna end the show on this comment. It was so fun. Thank you. Yeah. We really appreciate it. So live long and prosper, everybody, and we'll see